All right, this is going to be the installation video for the Longstrike CS6 Immortal kit. And what you're going to need to install this kit is a small flathead screwdriver, a small Phillips head screwdriver, a small flathead screwdriver, and of course your kit. So use the Phillips head to remove all your screws and set them aside so you don't lose them. And to assist with splitting the shell, you can use the flathead screwdriver. So I need to, just a heads up, let you know that this is not a stock blaster. This blaster has been used for years in testing and is pretty thrashed. So I don't have any of the locks or sort of useless parts in this blaster. And it's rocking the old Massacre kit with a prototype spring. So first, you need to take out your stock internals or whatever internals are currently installed. And to do that, you're going to undo the 2 screws that hold the spring in place. And remove them. Carefully take out the spring retainer, set that aside. And then you can slide your bolt sled and breech system back and out. And we're just going to set these aside. So once your shell looks like this, you can set it aside and we're going to assemble the Immortal kit. So let's start with the breech, bolt sled, and plunger. First, put the O-ring on your plunger and the O-ring on the breech. And now we're going to pin the breech to the bolt sled. And to do that, you're going to want to use the handle of a screwdriver, pliers. If you have just regular pliers, you can use the flat right here. But you have to press the pin through the bolt sled and breech without compressing the bolt sled like this. So to do that, I like to put 2 fingers on the inside, either like this or like this, to prevent it from compressing. And then pinch with a pinching motion, drive the pin through the bolt sled and breech. If it won't go, double check your alignment to make sure all of the holes are lined up. So it can be a little tight, but that's good. That means it won't come out when you're using it. There, and just push it till it's just about flush. A bit of the corner of the pin may poke out, but that's okay. So next, take your grease and put a light coat on the O-ring. You do not need too much here, just enough to get a good, even coat. And then do the same for the plunger. With the plunger, you can put a little extra than what you would normally do with our other kits, because the plunger tube will not have any grease in it. So we can set this aside, and now take your plunger body and put a dab of grease on the inside of this, about pea-sized, like that. And then coat the inside, because when you receive your plunger, it will be completely dry. So you want to get a nice layer of grease in there. Then insert your plunger into the plunger body and spread that grease around. If it feels a little gritty, you can add more. If there's excess, like you see here, you can just wipe it off and either put it back in or wipe it off with a paper towel. All right, from here, take your shell and install the bolt sled and breech. It's exactly the same process as the masker kit. Just make sure these rails are in place. Slide it up into the front. And real quick, let me show you something. Make sure these notches are gonna, on the plunger body, are gonna line up with these, the ribs in the shell here. Here, here, and here. So the longer support structure will go up on top, and the shorter one will go on bottom where the orange plug is. So that just drops in like so, and it's a tight fit. We don't want this to move around. There, and it's going to brace up on the shell in 5 different places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, up in here. So now install your plunger body and press it into place. And this will not move. That is very locked into place. And with the other half of the shell on, it's being held, it's distributing the impact force from the plunger over 10 different surfaces, so it shouldn't damage your shell. From here, we'll go install the trigger catch underneath the plunger. And for this, we're going to install the 7 kg spring. Quick note, when you first start using this kit, you may hear the spring rub on the trigger catch. That is normal. Because this was a retrofit, we dropped this surface down as far as possible to make priming as reliable as possible. And sometimes the spring will ride just barely touching this trigger catch, and that's okay. All right, in with the spring, and then the spring retainer. The large hook goes on top, the small hook on the bottom. Like that. And now for the 2 spring retainer screws. These are very important. You don't want to lose them or leave them out, because that 7 kg spring wants to move back and forth, in and out, up and down and in and out, because it's not being supported by the shell anywhere, and all the support comes from the plunger and this retainer, so you don't want it doing this. You need to do everything to minimize wear and tear on the shell itself. If you're worried at all about damaging your shell, you can use the 5 kg spring. It will still be a performance upgrade over the original Massacre parts, just due to the direct plunger. And here's a quick comparison. So the main performance enhancement comes from the increased air volume and the fact that there is almost no dead space. In this older reverse plunger configuration, all of this is dead space. You can see the dart only goes in that far, so everything from here to here that is still hollow is just dead air. With this system, the only dead space is about right here, where we had to lengthen the breech just so it would prime reliably. So we go from about 4 inches of dead space to maybe just over ½ an inch of dead space. Next, install your trigger catch spring over the post and let it hang out for now, because if you try to fully install it, it's just going to pop out. So we're going to let that hang out and then push it in as we close the shell. Now take your metal trigger and your trigger spring and install them. All right, from here, we will close the shell part way. and everything will just drop right into place. You shouldn't have to force it. You can see that here the trigger cut spring is still sticking out, so we're going to split the shell, push it in, and onto its shelf. It's a little tricky with the camera here. Okay, there we go. All in place. From here you can install your priming handle, tighten all your screws, and then test fire. And a quick note about the priming handle. There are very few brand new Longstrikes out there, so I'm sure most of you have already installed the priming handle, and you'll notice that it's a one-way snap. To get it off, you'll have to pry it off. There's more information about that in the installation video for the masker kit, and we'll put a link in the description below, so you can find that video and see a better example of a Longstrike that has its stock internals and how to take this handle off. So that's it. In the next video, we'll be chronographing this kit, so stay tuned and thanks for watching.